What is going on, everybody, man? I hope you guys had a great weekend. While we are getting this, I'm getting this all situated. I'm gonna y'all please hit the link below. Hit follow. It don't hurt. Follow will not hurt you, but it'll definitely help. Um, Also, I wanted to talk about this weekend, man. This weekend has been crazy my way. We had, first of all, our power was out yesterday from 3 to 11 p.m. And you know what really sucks about the power being out that long? We had just got done grocery shopping on Saturday, and man, Sunday come around, storms come, and I'm just sitting there chilling on my couch watching television. You look out at the sky and you can see that cloud cover. It just got very dark. Look out the window, and just before I knew it, just lightning, thunder, the bottom fell out the sky. And then I went and I sat back down. Of course, I got a hound. So one of my dogs is a hound. Gave him his medicine because he goes crazy. Whenever there's a storm, man, he loses his mind. So we gave him his medicine and sat down, and power just went out. So it went out, but it came back probably like a couple minutes later. And I just said, oh, maybe that was just a flash. And looking before I know it, the power is out. So now I'm like, oh, I hope this don't last a couple hours. Just went grocery shopping. Nothing worse than when you go shopping, all them groceries, and had to throw them out. Because I don't know if people know this, but when your power goes out, you got 4 hours for to get that refrigerated food for them to get that power back on. Anything after 4 hours, that food has to be tossed out. As far as the freezer now, the freezer, you can go 48 hours in the freezer. But you know the move that I should have made? I should have, well, we should have got a generator. And a generator, man, you probably could get one for about 500-600 bucks. But if you get a really good one, you could go ahead and plug. What I would have did is went ahead and plugged one into my, one refrigerator, because I got in the podcast studio got a big refrigerator. Upstairs I have a refrigerator, and of course the television, so we can keep track of what's going on with the weather, right? But I didn't have a generator, so me and the wife had to throw out everything in the refrigerator. Brand new jug almost of orange juice. We had a little fruit tray. The fruit tray had grapes, cantaloupe, pineapple, apple slices, and a little dip in the middle. And that had to be thrown out too. So when I went out, you got a taste for something and go in the refrigerator, you open up the refrigerator, it's not there, and you're like, oh. What was really bad about this is not only did our power get knocked out yesterday, but Friday, somebody hit in our neighborhood, they hit a line, a water line, or they was flushing the water line out. But for about 4 or 5 hours, we had no water whatsoever. No water to wash clothes, shower with. Now, thank God this had all happened in the evening, but man, I mean, there was no drinking water. I mean, it sucked. Sometimes you don't know you don't know how good you have something until it's taken away and you no longer have it. And so I'm like, dang, the water out Friday, power went out yesterday. Oh, and the week before that, we had electricity go out because somebody hit a pole. And I was at the gym because I'm trying to lose weight right now. And my oldest daughter called and was like, Dad, I heard a big bang and then I seen a cloud of smoke. Well, the Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, we had a generator or a transmitter explode. And so we were out of power on that day. So for the last 2 weeks, man, we've had 2 days where we were without power for at least over 5 hours. Yesterday it was more like you're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 8 hours, which sucks because in the South, when it's hot and in the power out and you can't do nothing about it, ah, nothing worse than that. But man, I'm gonna go and get on with the topic, man. I hope you guys enjoy the preseason games like I did. I don't put too much stock into them. The reason why I don't put too much stock into them, well, the Hall of Fame game, enjoyed that with the Cleveland Browns and the Jets. And then that was, I guess, officially week 1, because week 2, all the teams played. Now, there's only 2 teams. I will cover a lot of them, but there's only really 2 teams that, for the most part, you'll hear me talking about. One of them is the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm from Ohio. Growing up in Cleveland, I hated the Cleveland Browns growing up. My family was diehard Browns fans, and I got a couple of them that's Pittsburgh fans. I don't know what's wrong with them, but I really couldn't stand the Cleveland Browns. I grew up liking the Indianapolis Colts. The teams that got me into football was the 49ers with Rathman, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Joe Montana, Roger Craig. I love that San Francisco 49ers team. And then, of course, Steve Young came along. But I quit liking them once they got rid of Joe Montana for Steve Young. Not that I had a problem with Steve Young, but I was a bigger Joe Montana fan. So when they let go of Joe Montana, kind of lost interest in them. So I went from them to the Three Amigos, man, with Jay Schrader and the Art Monk, Gary Clark with that Redskins team. Um, Big fan of them. And then I was, neither of them teams, San Francisco or the Washington Redskins, were from the Ohio area. So I was like, man, I need to find a team close by. And when Eric Dickerson got traded from the Rams to the Colts, I was a diehard fan, man. I was like, oh, they had just moved to Indianapolis maybe a year or two before then. They sucked. But when they got Eric Dickerson and they had Jack Trudeau, Clarence Verdun, and they had Billy Brooks, I became a big fan of them. So I will be covering the Indianapolis Colts. I will be covering the Cleveland Browns. And I want to dive right into this, man, because I was on watching a lot of people's commentary and what they thought of AR5. And it's like NFL fans are funny. They're expecting these teams to show a lot in their playbook, which I don't understand why a team would show a whole lot in their playbook. Because for the most part, it's vanilla. The playbooks are vanilla. And they're trying to see what players actually going to stick on the team, what works and what don't. I think preseason is the time where a lot of gadget plays teams will put in the playbook, and they may use them on the second and third team. But a lot of the second and third team players, I don't expect for them to stick around. Most of them gonna get cut. But in my observations of AR5, I thought he did a pretty good job. The interception, yes, you can blame the interception on AR5, but I'm just going to say this. It's expected. It's his first game. You got his nerves. You got his jitters, and the game's moving pretty fast, man. Especially on top of with that excitement, the game moves a little fast for AR 5. So I would expect that. Wasn't shocked by the early interception, but I thought he did a good job when he come back. And as the game progressed, you could see his nerves starting to settle, and he actually, man, did pretty good. I wasn't really concerned with him. I seen some. He did make some high throws, and again, that's an issue that he had in college. That's something that they're going to have to fix also in Indianapolis. But I'm more concerned with that offensive line. That offensive line, like the interception happened, it's one thing for blitz to happen and maybe somebody missed an assignment or the quarterback didn't maybe catch he didn't get a good read on the blitz. It's another thing, right? When you're getting like pressure right up the middle, there is no way. I don't care how good of a quarterback you are in the NFL. If you're getting pressure right up the middle, that spells bad luck for your team, man. That's not good. Often, man, it gets a quarterback hurt. It rushes them into a bad decision. Bad things happen, man, when you're getting pressure up the middle. So I'm more concerned with the Indianapolis Colts with the middle. No, though, and it's the middle right. The left side of the Colts line is good with, man, especially with Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly. And I do think that when they get Jonathan Taylor, that's going to help too because teams are going to have to cover the Colts sideline to sideline. It's got to be nerve wracking for linebackers to have to keep an eye on play action or, man, counter runs or the RPOs, where it looks like AR 5 is going to hand the ball off to JT one way, maybe to the right side of the field, and then he rolls out and he spins left. So I do think, man, that that's going to help the Colts. But man, they got all that cap space, and they're talking about all the drama with Jonathan Taylor wanting a bigger contract. I think what they really need to concern themselves with is two things. Well, actually three. You got to get offensive line depth because your offensive line depth is absolutely terrible. If somebody get injured on that offensive line, especially on that left side, man, it's not good for Minshew or Richardson. So if you want to protect your asset, and they should have learned from Andrew Luck, you better work on that offensive line. Another concern that I have with the Indianapolis Colts is they have two wide receiver twos. I don't think either Alec Pierce, or Michael Pittman are wide receiver one. I don't have confidence in either one of them getting separation consistently. I don't have confidence in Pierce being able to hold on to the ball. Anthony Richardson played a lot better than it looked like. If not for two plays, his numbers would have looked better. The bomb that he had to Alec Pierce that he should have caught, there is no excuse for a wide receiver one or wide receiver two to have the ball hit him in the breadbasket and drop it like that, especially on what should have been the score. And the other play that kind of hurt him is when he scrambled to the left and he's going inside the 5 and the tight end holds, and there was no reason for the tight end to hold because that player was not going to have access to Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was already past him. All you had to do was just stand in the way. So them penalties like that, either messes up a score, prevents a score, or knocks you out of a scoring position, those really hurt young quarterbacks. So if it's not for them two plays, I actually think Richardson played better than his numbers indicate. Okay, he at least played better than the other three young quarterbacks that was drafted. Two of them, C.J. Stroud and Mike Young, who was drafted before him. I'd rather have looking at the weekend games. I'd rather have so far. Because we still got some games to go, but I'd rather have Anthony Richardson right now at this point than what I seen from C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Bryce Young, I don't think he played enough, but man, he got smacked on two plays, man, and it don't look like his offensive line is doing him any justice too. Seeing his offensive line, I think I would sit him based on watching the performance of his offensive line. But Anthony Richardson, I think did a lot better than what people gave him credit for. People they act like that they got Super Bowl expectations in the preseason game, which is funny. I were watching fans talking about, man, put in Gardner Minshew and sit Anthony Richardson. Gardner Minshew, man, he went 6 for 6. Yes, against second stringers and third stringers, guys that's not even going to probably be in the league. And he's a journeyman. If he was what you guys thought he was, then he wouldn't be on his, what is this? He played for the Jaguars, then the Eagles. I think he was somewhere else. I'm not for sure, but at least 3 teams already. So he's a journeyman. He's not a horrible quarterback. I think we do have possibly one of the better second string quarterbacks in the league. But I do think they need to go ahead and play Anthony Richardson right now. Let him get his bumps and bruises. Let him learn on the fly. See, his strength and weaknesses. And I think he is going to get better as the season goes along. I will say this, though. If you watch him and he start getting beat up and the offensive line is struggling, not giving him time in the pocket, then yeah, I will pull him. Because that is my asset. And if I can't protect my asset, I'm sorry. Gardner Minshew, man, you're going to have to go into these flames, brother. You have to go out here and you're going to have to, mend the ship. But yeah, I do. I hope Jonathan Taylor comes back sooner than later. They said he is supposed to come back this upcoming week. So I think that will be really good for the Colts. Another concern I have from them is that young defensive backfield. They have no veterans in the defensive backfield, which is concerning. So I'm interested to watch the young guys to see who stands out when the season begins for the Indianapolis Colts. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and slide on over and talk about a little bit about the Cleveland Browns also. If you look at Deshaun Watson's numbers, no, they weren't impressive, but I was definitely impressed. Deshaun Watson led the Browns down the field like a well-oiled machine. I was really impressed with his presence in the pocket. You can tell that he knocked off a lot of rust. He could feel people around him, and he would take off and run. And that is a scary dynamic for other teams because it's bad enough. I don't think the Cleveland Browns wide receiver core is terrible. I don't think they're great, but I don't think they're bad in the least. I like Elijah Moore. Coop has always been a solid receiver. Now, I will say this about Cooper. There are games where he disappeared, right? But I think the Cleveland Browns have enough offensive weapons where those games aren't going to be as concerning for the Browns as they were possibly with the Dallas Cowboys or with the Oakland Raiders or the LA Raiders. I do think the Browns have a lot more weapons or just as many weapons. Um, and I think they got a better quarterback too, because I think that Watson is much better than Derek Carr and Dak Prescott. So I do think Watson is a better quarterback, and I like Nick Chubb also. Nick Chubb, the Cleveland Browns having the best running back, and I think he's personally the best running back in the league. For them having him, I think that's another problem. There is so much that the Cleveland Browns can do with Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb. And I know a lot of fans are saying, well, this team is built for the run. Well, that team has been built for the run, but being built for the run haven't been enough for that team. So I think it's good to have a running back like Nick Chubb that can keep the clock running, that can turn up and get them 5, 6 yard carries, get you ahead of the sticks. But to rely on them, no, it hasn't worked for the Browns. I do think that it's going to be helpful to have Deshaun Watson and for a defensive coordinator to have to think about Deshaun Watson and, play actions, quarterback counters, cornerback sneaks, kind of the same way with the Colts, man. The RPOs. It's just that Deshaun Watson is a lot more proven. He is proven, and Anthony Richardson isn't proven. But both teams do have quarterbacks that can really hurt you on the ends, and they have dynamic running backs. Now, the difference is the Cleveland Browns have a lot more explosive offense, though, yeah, they do have to prove it, but they do have a lot more explosive offense than the Colts do. But I do see, I do see similarities between both teams, except for at the quarterback position and the wide receiver position. But as far as like skill set, quarterback, running back, oh yeah, of course. Um, the Cleveland Browns actually, I think the Cleveland Browns have a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. And I would have never said that about the Cleveland Browns. I never would have thought the Cleveland Browns possibly could have been a Super Bowl team, but I do think they are capable of going to the Super Bowl this year if everything works out right. I do like them getting Jordan Wilkins from the Colts. He is a great, speedy, come out the backfield, pass catching running back that can hurt you. He ain't gonna hurt you with his legs running the ball between the tackles, but he get on the outside. He can really, man. He's an explosive pass catching running back. I hated to see Indianapolis let him go, but I understood, man. Maybe they didn't have, Jim Irsay been kind of cheap. Let's be honest, man. Jim Irsay has been cheap. If there's anywhere he's going to spend that money, because the Colts do have cap space, which is something the Cleveland Browns don't have, is he better spend that money getting some real offensive linemen? I understand him not wanting to pay Jonathan Taylor $16 million a year. I think he should have offered $12 million a year. It wouldn't have hurt them to offer JT, look, man, we're going to offer you 3 years, $36 million, and 28 guaranteed. You would have got, he's about to enter his prime. So you would have got that value out of him anyway, instead of creating the mess that y'all created. But I do think that they need to go ahead and sign JT, and they need to do whatever they can I don't care where you got to scrape. You got to scrape. I don't care if it's the bottom of the ocean. Find you serviceable offensive lineman. Matter of fact, Indy, y'all need to see what teams are cutting, and if they cut a solid offensive lineman, maybe and then that's rare, but you might find you a gem or two. If I was you, I would be digging to find out. Get them on my practice squad as quick as possible because, man, y'all can't afford to have any offensive lineman injured. But with that said, man, I want to go ahead and just close it out with this. I was impressed by Deshaun Watson, the way he engineered that first drive. They should have scored on that, but I understand them not wanting to do a quarterback sneak. I think that's asinine to want to do a quarterback sneak in preseason. It's the same with AR. I understand if it's a 4th and 1 and you're not wanting to. Them games don't count. You don't want to get a quarterback a concussion or a shoulder injury or something in preseason. So I think it was smart for the Indianapolis Colts and the Cleveland Browns to have vanilla offenses. I like them having short passing games. You've seen a lot of screen passes, and you've seen a lot of quarterback runs where the quarterback roll out and RPOs basically. And so I'm excited to see this next weekend. I hope y'all tune in. If you are an artist, if you would like for us to play your music, please send your track to that's SODRIVEN at gmail.com. I would love to promote your music. Make sure you let me know the name of your group or your artist name, a link where people can find your music at, and of course, like I said, if you want to go ahead and jump the line, send the Cash App of $50 to the Cash App SO or $ SODRIVEN and we'll get you on there and try to get y'all promoted. All right. Peace, love, man. Until next time, y'all have a great rest of the week. And I am looking so forward to these next preseason games. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more. I think it's going to be all of the same. I don't think we're really going to get to see what's going to be what until week 3. But who knows? All right. Go Colts. Go Browns. Peace. See y'all later on.